Coffee and Headlines is brought to you by the generous support of our viewers and the following community partners. Best Cord Cutting TV, Before It's Tax Preparation, Bravo's Restaurant Bar, Casa Samtonieta Ingielapa, El Rey Lounge de Versalles, Joint Boutique Hotel and Co-work, Monzon Brewing Company, Puerto Vallarta Neurofeedback, Owners Reps Puerto Vallarta, and Siam Cocina Thai. Thank you for your support, and thank you for supporting our community partners.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines. It is a pleasure to see you today. Today is September the 2nd, and it is sunny out there. It's a beautiful day. I'm a little schwitzy already. I think it's going to be a warm one. And today, aside from the wonderful things you bring to the table, we have to increase the volume. Why is my volume a little low? Hold on just a second. I hope that's a little better for you. How was everybody? I had such a great time. Well, can you have a great time watching a State of the Union address? I was happy to watch the State of the Union address yesterday. I was all excited and emotional seeing the support that President Sheinbaum received. And we're going to look at that. And it's so amazing that we can use artificial intelligence, AI, to produce information for you. Like, I took 12 different sources of news in Spanish, and I threw them into the AI stove, and I said, bake me a brief summary in English of all the things that English-speaking locals from Canada and the United States might be interested in knowing about the State of the Union address from yesterday, and boom, I have a nice executive summary to share with you, and we'll do that later on. But first, as always, we have interesting local news, important local news, and we have your comments and suggestions. Let's get started with what we have. Boom, 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 boom. Hello, black screen. Give me some news. Well, yesterday's protest was quite something. After nearly 7 hours of blockade, Federal Highway 200 was fully reopened last night, after members of the so-called peaceful civil resistance movement reached an agreement with municipal authorities. During the negotiations, the officials explained that the municipal government, through the water utility, will implement a strategy in the coming days to improve the drinking water supply in neighborhoods that have suffered shortages in recent months. So there were two beefs on yesterday's protest and the protest from the day before. Number one is there are neighborhoods in Puerto Vallarta that don't get clean water on a regular basis. And the second issue that the protesters took as leverage is that clean water leak that has been affecting Cinco de Diciembre for several years now. So how is it that the government can allow for that and not provide clean water for everyone? So as a result of that, and after residents of the Cinco de Diciembre neighborhood took part on the march, authorities have begun working on the flooding caused by groundwater in the area. Sepal machinery arrived on site and began opening the street to install 4-inch pipes to convey water from a spring dug during the construction of an apartment building several years ago. Hopefully, they will find a way to use the water productively instead of having it just waste out on the streets. Our city is about to enter a new chapter thanks to the City Council's approval of the municipality's participation in the Enchufemos Jalisco program. Let's plug Jalisco. The initiative's main objective is to transform our city's El Centro area, restoring its splendor and dignity through the rehabilitation of facades, sidewalks, common areas, and painting in a specific area. So there is an investment of 11 billion and some pesos um, put out there by the government of Jalisco, by Governor Pablo Lemus. So we have applied to be part of this program, and hopefully some of that money will come to Puerto Vallarta to make our city look a little better. And in national news, as part of his agenda for Ecuador and Mexico, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is expected to arrive in Ecuador this Tuesday, September 2nd. I wrote that he was arriving in Mexico City today. My bad. He's arriving in Ecuador, and then he's coming to Mexico to discuss priorities of the United States. Among the U.S. priorities to be addressed are, and I quote, swift and decisive measures to dismantle cartels, halt fentanyl trafficking, end illegal immigration, reduce the trade deficit, promote economic prosperity, and counter malign extracontinental actors. And I shouldn't comment about this, but I will, just for 30 seconds. I certainly hope that President Sheinbaum will remind the Secretary of State that one of the important priorities that the United States should be looking at is education and creating support for those people that have drug addiction problems. But that's not my business to say. I'm sorry I threw that out there. That's just my little 2 cents or my 20 seconds of fame in this 30-minute long program. I sure hope that their Secretary of State will have a chance to learn about President Sheinbaum's State of the Union address from yesterday. As I mentioned earlier, I got a little highlight that you might be particularly interested in, so please allow me to do some reading. President Claudia Sheinbaum delivered her first State of the Union address emphasizing Mexico's stellar moment and global respect with a focus on tangible results. For English speakers from Canada and the United States living in Puerto Vallarta, several key announcements might be of particular interest. Here we go. Under international relations, President Sheinbaum highlighted Mexico's relationship with the United States based on shared responsibility, mutual trust, respect for sovereignty, and cooperation without subordination. She affirmed Mexico's position against any potential military interventionism from the United States and noted modifications to Articles 19 and 40 in our Constitution in national sovereignty to explicitly reject foreign interference. She confirmed upcoming visits from Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney and French President Emmanuel Macron. Mexico maintains the lowest average tariff rates globally and is confident in achieving better conditions within the TMEC trade agreement next year. In economy, the president noted the consolidation of a new economic model, ensuring macroeconomic stability and shared prosperity. Despite catastrophic international forecasts, Mexico's economy is projected to grow by 1.2% in its first year under her presidency. A record $36 billion in foreign direct investment was recorded in the first semester of the year. The Mexican peso has remained below 19 pesos per dollar. And President Sheinbaum acknowledged a voluntary agreement with the private sector in Mexico to maintain gasoline prices. When it comes to infrastructure and connectivity focused on our state, the state of Jalisco, the Puerto Vallarta Highway, which is an 86.5 kilometer segment of the Guadalajara-Puerto Vallarta short route, was inaugurated with its final 33.2 kilometer section completed in December of the previous year. This brings the total length to 173 kilometers, aimed at reducing travel times between Jalisco and Nayarit. Remodeling of other federal highways in Jalisco is expected soon. She also mentioned the start of construction for the Mexico-Pachuca and Querétaro passenger train, with bidding processes for the Querétaro-Irapuato section and plans for Irapuato-León and León-Guadalajara. When it comes to health and quality of life, the first stage of the Iste General Zone Hospital in Tlajomulco de Zúñiga in our state of Jalisco was inaugurated. It is set to serve approximately 2.5 million beneficiaries from Jalisco and neighboring states. Efforts are ongoing to ensure the free supply of medicines, with stock levels reported to be above 90% in all health centers and hospitals. And nationally, high impact crime has been reduced by 20%, intentional homicides by 25%, femicides by 34%, and vehicle theft with violence by 31%. A new campaign against extortion has also been launched. When it comes to innovation, also based in Jalisco, the Kutsari Design Center will be established in Jalisco to develop and manufacture semiconductors domestically, aiming to reduce import dependency and create a national supply chain. As far as the environment goes, President Sheinbaum highlighted the restoration of 987 hectares of mangroves, which are important for carbon capture and coastal protection. The government initiated 42 research and technological development projects in small grids, energy efficiency, and sustainability, aiming for 35% renewable energy by 2030 to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Last but not least, efforts to protect wildlife, such as the vaquita marina and totoaba in the Alto Golfo de California, were also noted. President Sheinbaum's address lasted a little over 1 hour. It began with the national anthem, ended with the national anthem, and it was a wonderful thing to see. Let's look at the weather. I was so happy to watch. I really was. Ooh, that cloud looks like you getting garroted by an assassin, says snarky weather today. It is 28 degrees, feels like 32. Humidity is at 79%. And our weather forecast tells us that today we're going to have overcast skies in the morning with thunderstorms in the afternoon, a chance of rain of 43%, a high of 32, and a low of 24. Tomorrow, Wednesday, mostly cloudy skies in the morning with thunderstorms in the afternoon, a chance of rain of 74%, a high of 31, and a low of 24. And then Thursday, mostly cloudy skies in the morning with thunderstorms in the afternoon, a chance of rain of 87%, a high of 32, and a low of 24. I have one more news item to share with you and a shameless confession. Let's start with the announcement. Can you guess how much us or we Mexican nationals spend in beer every year? Let's remember that Mexico is a huge beer drinking country, and according to recent figures, annual spending on beer can range from 850 to 3,292 pesos per household, depending on the region of the country, the preferred type of beer, and the frequency of consumption. This is according to figures from Statista Market Insights, who also shared that Mexicans will spend approximately 484.6 billion pesos on beer consumption by 2025. Of that total, household spending accounts for approximately 367 million pesos, while consumption in restaurants and bars accounts for 117.6 billion. What would we do with that money if we were not spending it in beer? I really don't know. But hey, I thought you would be curious to learn about these facts. I have to confess, finally, that in the last week and a half, I have gone back to Asensio Tacos on Calle Francia a total of 3 times. It is that amazing. Uh, what a great restaurant. And the second time that I went, and the third, I enjoyed dessert. This amazing concoction of chocolate mole cake served with beautiful raspberry fresh raspberry chingadera on top, and then ice cream, vanilla ice cream with beautiful caramel popcorn on top. And the beautiful thing about this restaurant, which serves edible art, yes, tacos are edible art, is that this last time that I went yesterday with Lars, and it felt so good to walk into the restaurant and to run into people that are cluster members saying, "See, we told you about this. We told you about this." So I will be the first to admit it took me a while to get to Asensio Tacos, but I'm glad I finally did. If you haven't, I highly, highly recommend this taco restaurant for a beautiful, elevated version of our humblest of meals. It is that good. Let's have a look at this now.
Every September, Mexico comes alive with the sounds of independence, and this year, you're invited to experience it like never before. On Thursday, September 11th at 5 p.m. at The Joint, music storyteller Paco Ojeda returns with his sold-out favorite, Viva Mexico. This is not just a history talk, it's a journey through songs, stories, and traditions that define who we are. From the cry of Viva Mexico to the powerful notes of Huapango, from Cielito Lindo to mariachi, cuisine, crafts, and even the proper way to honor our national flag. It's the ideal way for English-speaking locals and visitors to deepen their understanding of our culture, especially during Mexico's most patriotic celebration. We'll uncover the events that lit the spark of independence, the voices that carried it forward, and the music that keeps it alive today. It's entertaining, it's enlightening, and it always sells out. So if you love Mexico, its history, its music, its soul, this is one evening you don't want to miss. Viva Mexico, Thursday, September 11th, 5 o'clock at the Joint Boutique Hotel and Co-work. Tickets are 300 pesos per person, available at the hotel's reception desk. Purchase yours before they sell out.
Yay! Chit chat section. Let's see what you bring to the table. Aside from all these wonderful good mornings, it's such a pleasure to read them all the time. And this one made me laugh a little bit in the best possible way. Hello, David. Wow, I accidentally caught one of these live. Buenos dias a todos. Well, buenos dias to you, David. What a pleasure to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. And Barbara, I can certainly relate to that. Hopefully the protests produce a positive result. I think they're working. It is unfortunate that in some topics or situations, it takes this kind of protesting to get things done. But, the government has to pay attention to them, and apparently they are. Da 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 da. Let's see. I'm not gonna get into the no, I'm not gonna get into the Marco Rubio comments, but I am going to send a shout out to my friend Pam Thompson Webb, who is watching today. I had the great opportunity to have a meeting with Pam and with Stan and talk about Feel Good Vallarta, and Pam has been awesome in helping us connect with physicians and healthcare providers that will come to our event in October. So I am excited about that. We received our first registration today. So I'm very, very grateful to you, Pam. Thank you for all your support. And Pam comments that there is a protest today at the IMSS for Pensiones y Jubilación. This one will go from IMSS 42 in Medina Asensio to the convention center. So if you're driving anywhere in those parts of the city, just be mindful of that. Thank you for your comments on President Sheinbaum. And thank you for this, David. Garrote is a very common word in Spanish. I had never seen it in English, and I looked at it right before we began the broadcast today, made myself a mental note to go looking for it to see if it's commonly used in English. I don't even know if I pronounced it correctly. For that matter, I don't even remember how I pronounced it. Garrote, maybe? I don't know. Laura asks, which is more popular, tequila or beer? I would say tequila, hands down. That's a good question. I suppose that's one for ChatGPT. Of course, tequila is very popular, but beer is very popular too. I wonder what the comparison is in sales. Oh my God, you make it tempting for me to go Google that right now, but I will resist that temptation. Uh, and I suppose this is an answer for my question: what would we do with all those billion pesos of beer consumption? Buy more tequila. Michael, I see that you are in good spirits. I hope your vacation is doing good things to you guys, and I look forward to your return. Oh my God! Speaking of the Beauforts, here's Beaufort number 2 or Beaufort number 1, depending on who you ask. Hello, Tim. Tim told me the other day that he has gotten inquiries about his accounting services for Canadian residents living in Puerto Vallarta. As you know, Tim is a fairly new community partner here at Coffee and Headlines. So if you need some issues to be addressed with your Canadian taxes, Tim might be the resource you didn't know you were looking for. And you can find all this information about our community partners on your daily show notes. Um, Linda says, I want to go to your presentation. Paco says, I want you to come to my presentation. I am updating it, and right now I am in the middle of this debate of whether I should update it with more culture or more music. So I don't know. You let me know what you think. But of course, you'd have to have been to the first presentation. Um, so I don't know. I'll figure it out one way or another. But what the presentation is about is culture, music, tradition, ritual, history, everything that will help you become more informed as an English speaking local living here in Puerto Vallarta about our Independence Day celebration. Yes. Let's see what else we have. Linda says, looking forward to Feel Good Vallarta. I think it's going to be a wonderful event. I am excited to create all these connections. Um, and Barbara says, Pam Thompson has helped us connect to medical personnel on many occasions. So appreciative. Pam has been in town ever since I can remember. And she has always been a great resource for the English community living here in Puerto Vallarta when it comes to health related matters. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for her friendship and support. David says, the word is used in English. I know it from the movies. Garrote. I have to start throwing that out there. Anyhow, this brings us to, Google says beer. Thank you very much, Vicky. I was going to ask. Pam says, I am old, 33 years full-time in Puerto Vallarta. I am barely at 23, so you have 10 more years on me. And Gary, hi, Gary. Gary says that ChatGPT says beer is the most popular alcoholic beverage in Mexico by a wide margin compared to tequila. Did I tell you that when I was at Tacos Asensio the other day, I tried a Mexican whiskey from León, Guanajuato? How interesting is that? I'm not even a whiskey drinker, but to know that there are funky spirits made in Mexico and that you can taste them at a local restaurant is absolutely fun in my book. And with that said, I think we can wrap things up. I'm going to keep working on this, that, and the other, but I will be back tomorrow, as always, with more coffee, more headlines, and more stories. I thank you for the time you shared with me, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a good one.